Welcome to this special episode of Taking Off. We're brought to you by Gold Seal, groundschool.com, and Wingfield Aviation, your go-to airplane maintenance. We're at EAA AirVenture at the Seaplane base. We're able to catch up with Cory Robin and talk about something, well, pretty serious. So, you know, the mission statement of this channel is content that makes us better pilots or better people. This is going to be more the latter than the former. So if you're really just wanting to see some flying videos and hear that piston engine in the background, this video is not for you, so don't watch this one. We're gonna talk to Cory about some pretty important stuff. Cory Robin, we're gonna talk about a little bit of different stuff than just plane aviation, although certainly it's in the canvas of aviation. Yeah. You're an only child?
You know, I've actually got 6 brothers and sisters. I'm the second to the oldest of 7.
Wow.
And so I remember them by Renee, Corey, Craig, Cameron, Christopher, Chanel, and Michelle as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we did run out of C's.
2020 was a really tough year for a lot of people. You in particular. Tell me about it.
You know, pandemic aside, I had of course, my river dunk incident that it's, you know, hopefully not viral, but hopefully it's known enough amongst our mutual viewer base that, you know, we put it out there as a safety situation rather than, you know, just unfortunate. And that kind of stung a little bit for me. Stung a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You take pride in your craft. And when you screw up, it does hurt a little bit. And then closer towards the end of the year, I had a little sister. Her name was Michelle, and she was getting her pilot's license.
Oh, exciting! And
she had just soloed in a Diamond aircraft. And I was super proud of her. And we're going back and forth. We'd done some bush flying in my airplane before, and thankfully was able to do that. But we lost her in December into suicide.
Suicide?
Yeah. And one of the unfortunate things that occurred is, you know, when I've become public about it, after the initial shock and everything, I decided that, you know, it might be an opportunity because I had people close to me in my circle of friends start sharing their experience and how they're touched with suicide. And I learned that it's a lot more of a common problem than we like to admit or even see, especially among pilots. There's some mental health that needs to be addressed, I think, in all communities, but specifically because I'm passionate about it, I've chosen to build the awareness in the aviation community specifically.
Okay. Prior to December 2020, had you ever, what was your knowledge of suicide?
I mean, we all know that it's an issue, and I had people, not necessarily in my intimate close circle. You know, you hear about it, and it's the other guy, somebody else. It's not part of my situation. But in 2020, it began to become more and more of an issue. I noticed hearing about it more often, and then obviously, when I learned of my sister's situation and her committing suicide, it causes you to pause. One of the consequences of that, when I started talking about it on social media, is I had hundreds, if not thousands, of people reach out to me and share with me their experience. You know, my father, my mother, my sister, my brother. And I learned that it's much more of a pandemic than a lot of us realize, and that maybe it's time for us to have a conversation in the aviation community about our mental health, because when you have the unique situation with the FAA and the medical certifications and all the restrictions and fear that's really built into the system, where pilots are afraid to go get diagnosed with depression because of the medication requirements or their loss of income if they're diagnosed with depression, or even ADD or ADHD, any mental health situation in the aviation community is really, we don't talk about it because it's terrifying.
They might pull our ticket.
And we work so hard for these certifications. You know, you've got these guys flying for the airlines that are hurting, and in a lot of cases unnecessarily, where they're not getting the help that they need because they're afraid of the consequences of that. And there's not necessarily a clear path. There's no airworthiness directive that says, hey, if you have depression and anxiety and you're diagnosed, here's your pathway back to the cockpit. It's basically the only information we have is here's all the restrictions, here's all the penalties, and there's not a clear pathway. And so one of the things I've learned is a lot of the pilots in the aviation community go undiagnosed and they suffer. And I'm not quite sure what the solution is to that on the big scale. So what I've decided to do is just every now and then I'll post on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all the social media platforms buddy checks. Mm-hmm. You know, it's time to check on your pals. And one of the things that I've noticed when I was going through, you know, it's depressing. My sister killed herself, and so I went through depression.
Right.
But I sought help.
You disappeared for a while.
Yeah, you know, I've produced a lot less content this year.
Right.
I felt like I needed to take some time to take care of myself and my family. And so, you know, I took a little bit of a break. And I've put out some videos, and those are more, I don't know, you're seeing a little bit more distilled content now. I'm a little bit more, okay, what do I want to produce? But the simple truth is I'm doing it in a manner that is respectful to myself. And you learn to take a step back and realize that, hey, we are so focused on building and growing and attaining our certifications and pushing so hard that sometimes we need to take that step back and evaluate and just find clarity, find some peace, and take that time for yourself. And check on your friends as well that might need it.
Looking back, were there any signs from Michelle that you missed?
Absolutely.
Like what?
You know, without getting too intimate, there are a lot of warning signs, but on the periphery, you just kind of assume that they're okay because everybody's so good at painting a smile on.
Well, she's working on her pilot's license. Everything's rosy.
She's a personal trainer. She's young. She's beautiful. You know, all these things going for her. How could she possibly be that down? And it's very, very common. I can't tell you the reception I've received here at Oshkosh of so many people coming up and all the hugs and just all the love. And I think we need more of that in the aviation community. We need to slow down just a little bit and take time to really connect with people. You know, there's these relationships that we maintain, and it's a family reunion atmosphere in the aviation community, and it's a small community. It's a wonderful community. And I'd just like to extend my arm of friendship and fellowship for anybody who might need it. Talk to each other, be there for each other. I don't know what the big solutions are, but I think maybe just tweaking things a little bit and just being kind. You know, the simple things. You never know what somebody's going through because we're so good at putting on those masks. You know, the thing about the warning signs is I think the people that are left behind, there's a lot of the what ifs. What if I would have done that? What if I would have done that? And you go through the I don't know what it is, but you kind of beat yourself up for not doing more. With my sister, you know, I had a lot of those thoughts. About a month prior to her suicide, she lives in Fresno, California, and I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. So there's a little bit of mileage there, but we have airplanes.
Right.
And so we did see each other frequently, and so we flew her out to Salt Lake City, about a month before in November, and we went bush flying, and we had a great time. And you know, most of our family's in Salt Lake City, but we have family all over the country. And we knew she wasn't okay. We knew she was struggling. I was struggling.
We all fight.
Right.
Yeah, we all struggle.
We all have our battles, right? but you just don't know how bad it is, because when you go up to your friend and you embrace them, you don't want to be the wet dog to bring the whole situation
Hey, how are you
down.
doing?
We express, and maybe we should. You know, when somebody asks you if you're okay, maybe it's okay
to say.
Yeah, you know, pick a couple
Well,
of people
struggling a
that are
little bit.
inside your circle.
Not
you know,
everybody,
people
yeah.
that you trust, and how you doing, Corey? And, you know, and you're just like, I'm doing good, and that's just the default answer. I'm fine. I'm doing good, or whatever. But maybe it's okay to pick some people that you trust, or even if it's one person you trust, and just it takes courage to be able to verbalize it.
Yeah.
Because when you take something from thought and you verbalize it, it makes it more real. And I think we need to do that. We need to push through that barrier and make it real, because literally people's lives are on the line here. You know, and so one of the things I've tried to be sensitive to is my own close circle of friends. And I check on them in a little bit more meaningful way now. I really avoid the questions like, how are you doing? Because really what you're doing with somebody that you know is not okay is you're setting them up to just lie to you.
Right.
You know? And because they don't want to tell you the truth.
Right.
And so instead of that, I'll just spend time with them and talk about the things that I know they're interested in, or the things that we're mutually interested in, and give them that time without putting them on the spot. Because nobody wants to, you know, if you need an escape, let's have that escape. Let's have that quality time. But
So what I hear you saying is getting outside myself, and not worrying about myself, but actually thinking about the other person, finding out about them and what their struggles are, and what I can do for them rather than what they can do for me.
Right, exactly. And I'm not talking about just severe depression. I'm just talking about just caring for each other and extending that hand and being aware and conscious, and just love your fellow humans. You know, it's sometimes I think we're so fast this day and age. We've got social media. You look in the restaurants and you look everywhere, and everybody's buried in their phone. It's maybe time to put down the phones and really connect and have that conversation, and have the courage to push through those difficult conversations, because I think it's important to have some of those. You might just save somebody. You might just be that catalyst to, hey, somebody does care about me. There is a small light at the end of the tunnel that, you know, maybe I'll stay.
You know, this is not a video to fundraise for any kind of cause or anything else, but what would you tell somebody watching? There's two different people watching. Maybe it's the person who is struggling with depression and having really dark thoughts. And then there's the person that's not, that could do something to help that other person.
Yeah.
So two different people watching. What can they do? What action steps can they take?
You know, first of all, if you're struggling yourself, and it's hard. I try not to be preachy.
Right.
I want people to live and, you know, do what they want to do, but just try and get the help that you think you need. Whether it be a very personal thing where you're not going and getting a medical diagnosis, or you're not seeing a therapist. Talk to a friend or a family member that you trust, and confide in them. I think that's the most important thing, is we keep all these secrets. We're embarrassed. We're embarrassed when we're struggling. I want people to think, oh my gosh, that's Cory Robin.
He's so put together.
He's just got everything together. But the fact of the matter is, there was a long period of time, months and months, that I was not put together, that I was broken, and I relied heavily on my close circle. And I'm so grateful I have those friends. And
Well, for your sister, did she seek help? Was she going to therapy? You said you guys kind of knew some, but what was she doing?
I don't know. And that's one of my biggest regrets. You know, you see somebody you love struggling, and I mean, we have the same DNA, my sister and I. And I'd like to think that I can handle anything. And so you kind of project that onto others, I think. But I didn't know you don't know what somebody else is going through. We all have our own unique experiences. And, I don't want to revisit all the what ifs, what could have I done. The fact of the matter is that it happened. And so now my job, my goal is to help prevent it in others. And that's really all I can do.
And what you're doing now to make it right is strong and good.
One of the things I'd like to mention is there's a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that you can have confidential conversations with any time of the day. And you don't need to have suicidal thoughts to call them. You can have normal thoughts of depression and call them. And so I post that phone number on my Instagram and on Twitter and everywhere whenever I do those buddy checks that I post. But if you're struggling, I just encourage you to reach out to somebody. That's the biggest thing.
All right, for the person that they're not struggling right now, what can they do to do something for somebody else?
Just be kind to everybody. I think that with what's going on in the world, there's so much negativity, there's so much bitterness, and with social media and the anonymity that provides, I think that we've kind of let ourselves go a little bit. We've lost our courtesy.
Well, yeah, people are meaner.
Respect.
People know that they're behind a screen. They can be meaner. They can hate more. They can.
Yeah. Or they want to be heard, and so they know that the way to be heard is to be outrageous and shock value.
Right.
And so I'm going to just say the most outrageous thing, or I'm going to try and insult this person who's legitimately trying to do good things, and so they jump on comments and try to destroy instead of build. Maybe we should check ourselves a little bit. And I'm starting to check myself more and more often in comments. And maybe I should, instead of correcting that person, encourage that person.
Yeah.
Find something positive to say instead of just your knee-jerk reaction and try to correct them or to question them or whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is, a lot of us shut down when people attack us or question us or confront us in those ways. So it's not effective anyway. The kindness and the love, I think, is really what's the solution to a lot of our social issues in this country and also around the whole world. Everybody's just been through a pandemic. Every single one of us. Every single one of us were scared. There were so many unknowns, and there's still so many unknowns. So there's still people that are scared. So yeah, love and kindness and just being situationally aware. Be aware of yourself. If you start to struggle with anything, just be aware of it. Try to find that courage to do what you need to do and reach out. But yeah, I think that's it. It's just simple, common courtesy. Let's bring the 40s back. Let's bring that respect. Let's be gentlemen. Let's be ladies. And let's open the door for our fellow man in every way. You're merging into traffic. Let the person in.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that simple.
Right.
If somebody accidentally cuts you off, why are you so angry? You're that same person. You would open the door for them in a busy restaurant.
Right.
And you're not going to let them in a car. Some reason the anonymity of a car is the cause of road rage. So we need to have those tough conversations. We need to have the courage to do that. And we just need to spread kindness, respect for our fellow brothers and sisters here on earth. That's it.
All right, good stuff, Cory. All right, everybody, so that's some things I hope you take away too. A lot that I'm going to take away that will hopefully make me a better person and stuff for you to take away, I'm sure. Thanks for talking about something really hard to talk about.
Well, thank you for using your channel as a platform, and I'll do the same. That'll be my pledge. I haven't done anything on my YouTube channel about it, and maybe it's time that I did. Maybe I'll go land on a mountaintop somewhere and set the setting and have an intimate conversation with everybody.
I'd watch that video.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys next time.